My name is Katie Pillay. I am a two-time Hodgkin's lymphoma survivor, and I am a patient advocate for the Lymphoma Research Foundation.
Hi, my name is Lisa Irvin. My daughter, Sophia Baudo, is a Hodgkin's lymphoma survivor, and we are here as advocates on a panel. So many, but I think my main role was to help the communication between her doctor and my daughter, and also to make sure that she was getting the best care that can be. And finally, I think just being able to disseminate some of the different ways in which the resources can be provided to her.
Yeah, I think I would echo that, and I think being a patient caregiver is one of the most selfless acts that someone can do when someone they love is ill, because the ill person should just be able to focus on staying alive and getting through, the day-to-day, taking any other sort of burden off them. It's a real luxury. They're the unsung heroes of the cancer patient population. I don't think there's one right answer. I think it's, and it kind of goes in waves, right? The need is always there, but sometimes it's bigger than others. And I think we can be fortunate enough if we can have sort of this like centralized caregiver that almost assigns other people in sort of this patient's army with jobs and responsibilities. So maybe one person is in charge of appointments and making sure that person is getting the best care possible, which is a huge responsibility. Another person's responsibility is sending out communication to wider loved ones. And then everyone needs like the goofy friend who can take your mind off things, or someone you can go for a walk with. It's not a one-size-fits-all, and I think it really takes an army.
My daughter wanted to be very open throughout this process. So every treatment we would post on social media, and that would reach all of my family, and it would also reach all of our friends, and then our new cancer community. So we were pretty present in that space in social media, and we would be getting feedback from them, and they would know when we needed them more. So I'm a single mom, so I was sort of the end-all be-all.
But my mom was too.
Yeah. End all be all, but it was really nice because there was times through social media that we needed more, that we were struggling, and I was open and honest about that, and so was she. And we brought in a ton of people, and I think hopefully that made a difference, and that people thought of lymphoma because they knew us.
Yeah, and I would also just add on to that. I think like being able to know what you need and to articulate that. Is something that we can't take for granted. Not every patient knows what kind of support they need and can identify it. They really might be, traumatized and just focused, stuck in this moment. So if they, and again, I think all of these things are luxuries, but if they have someone who can help identify those needs for them so they can take, that can even seem so cumbersome and so much like a burden. I don't know what I need. Can you figure it out for me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Patience, and empathy, and being able to separate yourself. In certain instances, I felt it at times throughout this journey with my daughter that I had to step away. Because it was so overwhelming to me to watch my child go through this, and I couldn't help. I mean, the only thing I could do was take her to appointments and get her food if she wanted food, or to unfortunately watch her be sick and do the best I can to provide whatever I could for her. But I think at times she was much stronger than I was, and I was breaking down a lot more than she was, but I couldn't let her see that. So I think it's really important for caregivers to know that it's okay to not be okay, and that you can step out of that space for a few minutes to collect yourself and then get strength, because if you're not taking care of you, then you can't take care of her.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. When I was sick, I always said to everyone around me, I think this is so much harder for my mom and my family because they just have to watch me deteriorate, and there's really not much that they can do about it. And they almost need a support system for the support system,
Yeah.
and so on. And I think also just to tell, caregivers, again, they are going to be the unsung heroes in this story. There will be bad days. The patient will have bad days,
Yeah.
and they might take it out on them because they have no one else around them to.
That is so true.
Right, because you're stuck in a little hospital room,
Yep.
just the two of you, and the patient feels terrible and is sad and rightfully so, feeling sorry for themselves, and they're just angry about their situation, and they might, you might become that person's punching bag, and it doesn't make it okay. But I think just it's really hard. I would imagine it would be very difficult when you're already, giving 110% of yourself to someone else, and then still, not feeling good about it.
Yeah.
Not that you're looking to be rewarded, but everyone needs a break. Take a break
Yeah, I absolutely take a break.
and not feel guilty about it.
No, and also when someone asks you if you're okay, if you're not okay, be able to be open and honest about that. I think the biggest thing for me was in the beginning, I was, I'm fine, I'm good, everything's fine. I worry about her, and I realized that I wasn't really doing anybody any favors by doing that. If you need help, you should ask for it.
And I think also not feeling guilty about it, right? I think that I would imagine, and I know I can speak for my family now years later, they would feel really guilty when they were feeling overwhelmed or sad because they thought I was going through so much more that they weren't allowed to feel that way or allowed to take a break. And I think not only is it obviously allowed, but it's encouraged. I think we all come back better if we can take a few moments for ourselves. I mean, it's truly the definition of self-care in every way. I have always said that if you can't advocate for yourself, how can you expect someone else to? And I think that's really easy for me to say because I am extroverted, and I acknowledge that a lot of people are not. You never want to have conflict with your doctors or the medical institution because you want them to like you, so they think that they'll give you better care. But at the same time, only you know your needs best. And I think it's one of the most important things that a patient can do for themselves is to advocate for themselves.
My daughter was sort of on the cusp of that. So she was diagnosed at 17 and was going through treatment when she turned 18. But honestly, I think I got the ball rolling because she was on and off and sick for 6 months prior to being diagnosed. And I finally went into the doctor's office and said, I'm not leaving until you do some tests. This is not, she doesn't have mono anymore. She doesn't have a sinus infection. Something's going on. So I think as a mom or a caregiver, that's an important role. But once she was diagnosed, my daughter is also extroverted, and she was very loud and at times abrasive, to the point where I was apologizing for her. And then I had to stop and say, no, I'm not apologizing anymore for her, because this is happening to her and she needs to make sure that she's heard. So if she was concerned about how her port went in, or if she was concerned about the medications and the side effects, or if she was concerned about other issues that were important to her, it didn't matter how she got it across, she needed to get it across.
How long do you have?
Yeah. I think my daughter would say that the most important part of her journey, because she is so social and because she was so active before being diagnosed, is providing her a space to continue that. She was out of school for the half of her senior year of high school. She didn't go to prom. She didn't have these great big moments, all of those things. So I think it was really, really instrumental and important for her to have access to those patient resources that are unique to the AYA community. She needed that outlet. So that's one way, I think.
Yeah, I think, just providing a bit of normalcy during this time. And I think, everyone's in uncharted territories. Their needs are going to change on a day-to-day basis, and half the time they won't even know what they need. They're more likely to know what they don't need. But I think if you can offer them sort of unconditional support, outlets for normalcy, opportunities to find community within, the lymphoma community. But I think, the punchline is sometimes the patient doesn't know what they need, and so you just have to keep trying and trying. Well, there's obviously the Lymphoma Research Foundation, which is a great education for a multitude of reasons. One is, peer-to-peer connection, but really just the instrumental aid that they are in these scientific breakthroughs that are creating, better outcomes for patients, whether it's just survival in general or long-term survivorship. I think that when you're in the thick of it, you're looking for people who are like you, and so being able to find those support groups are instrumental.
I would echo what she said, because when she was being diagnosed, we had a hard time in the pediatric community finding other Hodgkin's lymphoma patients and or survivors. I think there was only one that we knew of, and she was much, much younger. So it was great. It was such an honor, and my daughter was so excited to come and speak on the panel because there's other people like her. So within the cancer community, it's also really important to find people within your specific type of cancer, because you get the same treatments, you have the same side effects, you have things that are so much more common. So it's great being part of a cancer community, but it's really great being a part of your specific type of cancer, such as Hodgkin's lymphoma.